Reinvented so it's sleeker, faster, roomier, better. You're going to want one. See your local Toyota dealer.
What's new at Marlowe? Delicious furniture, tempting prices, and for dessert, free financing, no finance charges, and no monthly payments until 2003. Free furniture until 2003. Now through Tuesday at Marlowe. Don't miss it. Marlowe, Washington's furniture superstore.
When you see news break, dial pound ABC7 on your Verizon mobile phone. That's pound 2227. It's a free call to the ABC7 News hotline. America Recovers. Continuing coverage on ABC7.
Now, on a special edition of Extra, America Under Siege. Osama bin Laden. Exclusive details on his Boston family ties and why his brother tried to buy these mini-subs from a Florida businessman.
How did that make you feel?
It made us feel pretty nervous.
Then, the emotional stories of survival and human triumph.
Gave him a big hug. I was like, thanks for being here.
As the World Trade Center collapsed, an extra crew was called into the action.
I need help! I need help!
Ahead, our mission of mercy. Then, as the search for the terrorists continues, a haunting look back at how the 1993 World Trade Center bombers were brought to justice. And our report on the future of airline travel and security. Straight ahead on Extra's special edition, America Under Siege.
America on the defensive and on the trail of a terrorist. Hi, everyone. I'm Dana Devin.
And I'm Phil Schuman. They're the explosive events that rock this country and the world. Ultimately, one person might be responsible. Osama bin Laden, the most wanted man in the world, who is thought to be hiding in the mountains of Afghanistan. His family and friends might be right here in our backyard of Boston, Massachusetts. He's the world's most wanted terrorist, Osama bin Laden, the leading suspect in Tuesday's devastating attacks, although bin Laden has denied responsibility. But Extra has learned of a curious connection. Both of the suicide flights that toppled the World Trade Center originated in Boston, and it turns out bin Laden's family tree extends to Boston.
It has been shocking to me that he had relatives living in the United States.
David Fuller told me in 1998 in Florida about a business deal he once made with Mohammed bin Laden, brother of the terrorist. Mohammed bin Laden made a deal to buy a pair of these mini subs nicknamed the Bionic Dolphin.
Runs across the surface like a hydrofoil, dives underwater like a submersible, and will leap in and out of the water like a dolphin.
Fuller now realizes his invention, with its stealthy diving ability, could be used as a vehicle for terrorism. But at the time, he didn't know just who his customer was. Fuller says Mohammed bin Laden, then living in Charlestown, Mass, outside Boston, paid him $90,000 for those subs.
He told me that he was not buying them for himself, he was buying them for one of his brothers.
Fuller became suspicious when he was asked for instructors who could provide training in the Middle East. He would later learn of bin Laden's sinister sibling on the internet. How did that make you feel?
It made us feel pretty nervous. We now had $90,000 of money which might be directly related to terrorist activities.
Mohammed bin Laden and his lawyer later told Extra he was attempting to purchase the Dolphin solely for recreational purposes. It's unclear why, but bin Laden never picked up the subs or got his money back. Now, in the wake of Tuesday's astonishing tragedy, Fuller's Boston business deal becomes all the more haunting.
Well, amidst the horror, there are some amazing stories of courage and survival coming out of New York. Here are just a few.
The city that never sleeps will not rest 1 minute until every victim of this senseless attack is rescued or at least accounted for. For days after the attack, rescue workers at the Pentagon and in Lower Manhattan had the grisly task of recovering bodies. So many that makeshift morgues were set up all over New York.
There's a morgue at Chelsea Pier. There's a morgue at down American Express building.
Ground Zero, where the Twin Towers once proudly stood, became a dusty anthill of activity. The city's bravest digging deep into the mangled ruins, hoping for any sign of life, using everything from concrete movers to cadaver dogs, while survivors shared their stories of rescue.
When I had my jacket over my head, I just said, I'm gonna die today. I started saying some prayers and I was wondering why it was taking so long.
It was Tiffany Keeling's fate to be on the 61st floor of Tower 2 when the second plane pierced into the massive structure. Tiffany was among 300 people from around the country who had come to New York to attend a training seminar for financial consultants.
All of a sudden we just heard this, loud noise and the building shook. And then there was paper everywhere outside. It looked like it was snowing paper. And people were saying, oh, it looks, what is it, a ticker tape parade? And other people were like, no, it's too high up.
The burning building started rocking and cracking. Tiffany remembers her frantic escape down the tower stairs was like a descent into hell. A stranger named Tim, who could not see for the shards of glass in his eyes, was trying to help her.
There was blood everywhere, all over the stairs. You could smell the airplane fuel. Just, it was just killing your eyes. And we got downstairs and we went out some doorway. There was a security guard in there, and he just was crying. I gave him a big hug. I was like, thanks for being here.
Soon after came the violent avalanche of steel, concrete, glass, and humanity as the tower collapsed. Tiffany ducked her head. She was smothered.
I said, yeah, my dad, or something like that. And Tim said, oh, you're not dead. And I said, please help me. And he said he couldn't help me because his leg was broken.
A similar story of camaraderie and compassion amid chaos is told by Lolita Jackson, who was on the 70th floor of Tower 1 when the first plane hit. Lucky Lolita not only survived this attack, but also the terrorist bombing of the World Trade Center in 1993.
It definitely was not as severe as today. I mean, I know that there were at least 200 or 300 workers there, and I knew immediately that they were dead.
But Extra's cameras also captured times of huge relief.
Thank God, yes.
Sylvia and Balan Pitkus had gone downtown to pick up their immigration papers, but they lost track of each other during the chaos. After hours of fearing the worst, they were finally reunited at St. Vincent's Hospital.
I thought I don't have my husband anymore.
One shining moment of joy amid the tragedy.
For some people, the quickest getaway from the crumbling World Trade Center was actually by boat.
And Phil, it was also the fastest way to get a camera crew close to the scene. But our Barry Nolan found out that efforts to get to the story can also make you part of the story. Barry?
Right, Dana. When we rented a boat to get a closer shot, we found ourselves becoming part of a very important rescue effort.
As a World Trade Center building starts to implode, an Extra camera crew captures exclusive, horrifying images that defy description.
Holy God!
But within moments, this terrifying mission of news gathering turns into a riveting mission of mercy.
Those people running on the left. Do they need help? Do they need help?
Extra joins a small armada of boats rescuing panicked New Yorkers from the smoke and debris-filled banks of the Hudson River. A man brings his dog. Parents carry crying children. Others are simply in shock. As the heavily laden boat carries its precious cargo to safety, the survivors tell their horrifying tales. Aria Hendricks lives right across from the stricken buildings.
And I saw the building collapse and oceans of smoke headed right towards us.
Bob Craze has a home just 1 block away.
I thought the worst.
Larry Rasnick is a heroic ATF officer who rushed to the scene to help and almost lost his own life.
There were body parts all over the place. I saw the second plane come in, and when the buildings collapsed, people started running. I am very lucky to be alive. I actually was to work late today. If I had come in 15 minutes earlier, I might have been in a lot worse shape.
As the boat prepares to cross the river again to pick up more survivors, an acrid pall of choking smoke hangs heavily over Manhattan. Captain Sean Kennedy usually runs sightseeing tours. Now, this late summer morning will be etched in his memory forever.
There's lines and lines of people. One gentleman wanted to pay $1,000 a person to bring his family across.
Lady Liberty still proudly welcomes weary travelers, but the skyline of the Big Apple will never be the same.
These towers that used to be behind us have been an icon of New York Harbor, and they've been something I've looked at every day. In fact, I was telling somebody last night, what a great picture they had of their wedding in front of those two towers.
Now that skyline is as deeply scarred as the psyche of the American people.
Scarred, yes, but not permanently. Mayor Giuliani has said they will rebuild at the World Trade Center site as a symbol of American resilience.
Well, Tuesday's troubles have changed American life forever, including the way we travel. Reporter Mike Bryant shows you what you can expect from now on when you're flying in America.
Reports indicate last Tuesday's disaster may have been triggered by small, crude knives snuck inside shaving kits on board the 4 doomed flights. The pressing question, how could these weapons have gotten through security?
A lot of people have been able to get a lot of things by the detectors.
Aviation expert Peter Greenberg says we are at risk. The people who run security checkpoints are low paid, they're underqualified, and unable to spot terrorists or unusual activity. He also believes the airlines must change the way bags are checked in.
If you get on a flight today going from London to Los Angeles, and you check in for that flight, and you check in your bags, but you choose not to get on that plane, that aircraft will not leave the ground. Your bags will be taken off that plane before that plane is allowed to leave. Why? Because they do positive matching of bags with passengers. Most people think in this country that happens on domestic flights. It does not.
No doubt this attack will dramatically change the way we fly and the way airlines handle passengers. Already, curbside check-in has been eliminated, and people will now have to show up 2 hours before departure.
Aviation experts say these changes aren't enough. More drastic changes are needed.
This week, the FAA banned the sale or use of knives in airports, even plastic ones. But former Navy SEAL Harry Humphreys thinks that doesn't even scratch the surface.
We're at war. Each and every one of us are soldiers in this war.
He applauds this week's decision to place armed marshals on every commercial flight. The Israeli airline El Al has placed undercover military officers on its flights for years with great success.
And get some armed troops on board these aircraft and protect these pilots and crew.
But Paul Hedlund, an FAA specialist, says even that is not enough. He says the cockpit doors protecting pilots are a joke.
Right now, there's a flimsy little door that even if they lock it, a kid can almost get through it.
The solution?
There are materials that you can use, like cab drivers now use, to separate the passengers from themselves, that are virtually impervious. Even if they had a machine gun, they might not be able to get through.
But even if these changes are made, experts concede terrorists willing to sacrifice their own lives have a good chance of taking others with them.
Just ahead, the previous bombing investigation that could give us a glimpse inside this week's search for the terrorists.
Next, it was the first attack on the World Trade Center. Now go inside the undercover investigation that brought those criminals to justice.
There was one particular piece of evidence.
Then, political analyst and West Wing consultant Lawrence O'Donnell on plans for a counterattack and the people who are advising President Bush. Plus, from air travel to gas prices to the stock market, will the economy rebound or reel into recession? That's still ahead as this special edition of Extra, America Under Siege, continues.
Your eyes need nutrition as well as the rest of your body. So Centrum and Centrum Silver added lutein to help maintain your precious sight. Now your eyes, your toes, and everything in between are covered by Centrum and Centrum Silver. More complete from A to Zinc.
My mom said she can't believe you were right.
Need a little quiet time? Give them a Quaker Chewy. Wholesome granola now mixed with delicious chunks of Nestle Baby Ruth bars. Chewy stops the chatter.
Hey, don't walk like a cop, all right?
You say you're serious about doing some good in the real world. Well, this is the place to learn.
Even those sworn to protect
Get away from the girl!
are human.
What's wrong with street justice? Oh, just let the animals wipe themselves out. God willing.
Even those dedicated to keeping the peace can cross the line.
That's what I'm talking about.
Denzel Washington.
You think I'm crazy, right?
Ethan Hawke.
I think you're a rogue cop.
Training Day. Rated R. Starts October 5th.
Coming up on Extra's Special Edition, after the tragedy, why Hollywood is changing the way they do business.
Plus, the behind-the-scenes stories of the media at Ground Zero coming up.
Jesse, come on, let's join the downhill race.
I heard that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jesse, come on, breakfast is getting cold.
We have your daughter.
Daddy,
You have a patient. She has a 6-digit number in her head. I need that number. You need your daughter back. Michael Douglas.
Is it a telephone number?
No.
Is it a place?
Nope.
And they're gonna kill her. What is it?